Guilty, guilty, guilty. This just in. Breaking news. Robert Sylvester Kelly, famously known as R. Kelly, convicted of multiple child pornography and enticement charges, acquitted on others. R. Kelly was convicted of multiple child pornography charges at a Chicago federal trial and acquitted on others. Kelly was convicted of 3 of 4 counts of production of child pornography and 3 of 5 counts of enticement of a minor to engage in criminal sexual activity. He was acquitted on 1 count each of conspiracy to obstruct justice and conspiracy to receive child pornography, as well as 2 counts of receiving child pornography. Ooh. Okay. Jennifer Bonjean, Kelly's attorney, said her client had a sense of relief that this case is now behind him and felt that prosecutors had overblown their case against him. Bonjean said he is considering filing an appeal. If the jury concludes that he was guilty of the first 3 counts, would they care enough to consider the evidence of the rest? And they demonstrated that they did. They did their job. They looked at each count separately. Bonjean said outside court following the verdict. Jurors deliberated for about 10 hours after listening to 3 weeks' worth of testimony, including for one woman who testified anonymously that Kelly sexually abused her and recorded the interactions when she was as young as 14. The woman was one of 5 minors who prosecutors alleged Kelly sexually abused in the late 1990s by making explicit videos with 4 of them. 2 of Kelly's former associates acquitted. Oh, wow. Kelly's co-defendants, Daryl McDavid and Milton Brown, were acquitted of all charges they faced. McDavid, Kelly's former accountant and business manager, was charged with conspiracy to receive child pornography, receiving child pornography, and conspiracy to obstruct justice. Brown, Kelly's former assistant, was charged with conspiracy to receive child pornography. Both pleaded not guilty. Vadim Glossman and Bo Brindley, attorneys for McDavid, praised the verdict in a statement to CNN. The jury found what we knew all along. The government brought a case that should have never been brought at all. It was based on the word of proven liars, the attorney says. We exposed them in front of the jury, and the jury made the right decision. CNN has reached out for attorneys of Kelly and Brown for comment. Victim testified about sexual abuse. One of the witnesses in the trial, 37-year-old woman, Rashonda Lanphier, spoke in federal court under the pseudonym Jane and testified Kelly began engaging in sex acts with her when she was 14 and had sexual intercourse with her starting when she was 15. They had sex hundreds of times before she turned 18, she said. Jane testified that she met R. Kelly's aunt. We're not going to go with that. And she was with a Christian hip-hop group. Yeah. And then she said she spent time with her uncle. Yeah. I'm not doing that. Okay, but I will read this part. Jane said she was 14 when her relationship with Kelly became sexual and that she lost her virginity to him when she was 15. When the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services began investigating an allegation, Kelly was having a sexual relationship with Jane in April of 2000 when she was 15. Jane testified that she denied the relationship. She also testified she later denied to Chicago police investigators she and Kelly had a sexual relationship. Jane, her parents, and Kelly met for a meeting when reports began surfacing in 2002 about the existence of a tape showing the pair engaged in sex acts. She said Kelly admitted to them he was having a sexual relationship with their daughter. Jane and her father received subpoenas to testify before a grand jury in 2002. Jane testified that prior to appearing before the grand jury, she had a conversation with Kelly about loyalty and denied a relationship in a sex tape. Jane testified she lied to a grand jury in 2002 when she denied having a sexual relationship and appearing in sex videos with the singer. Now, here's my thing. I got mixed feelings about this. And I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't think R. Kelly should have been convicted of this. I know it's wrong. But I want you to go back in time. we're going to go back in time to a period in the late 90s. We're going to go back to 1998. And we're going to go back to a woman, a young woman, but nevertheless a woman, an adult, named Lisa Van Allen. Lisa Van Allen was in a music video for R. Kelly that featured Keith Murray. And it was a music video for a song off of his Rated R video song album called, I believe it's called either House Party, or it was called let me find a song. Keith Murray. And it was like a moderate Home Alone. It's called Home Alone, okay? Which is kind of creepy in itself, because it's like, damn, Home Alone, when we think of Home Alone, we think of the movie Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin. So what happened is it was a video, and she was a model, and she presented herself as a 17-year-old, when in fact she had been 18 for 2 months already, which meant she was an adult. Lisa Van Allen ends up getting into the inner circle and basically, becoming one of his girls. But the whole time, he thinks that she's 17 years old. He's not thinking that she's an adult. So the whole time they're doing threesomes with the minors, which was wrong, which I think for that, I want to make clear that he should be found guilty for. Okay? But when it comes to all of, I'm going to go forward, he thought Lisa was a minor. When he found out Lisa was an adult the whole time was when the investigation happened in 2001, 2002. And he had even said, had he known that Lisa Van Allen was an adult, she would have never got close to him. So you lied the whole time. And you had sex with Jane, who's really Rashonda Lenfair. You was with this girl. You was basically doing things with this girl and the other girls. And you are just as guilty as him. You're a predator. And I'm saying to myself, how come she's getting off scot-free with this, but the others aren't? I mean, to me, in my opinion, I felt that she was the one that sold the tape to blackmail him. She infiltrated him to get money, and she put Rashonda Lenfair out there like that. And the other girls out there like that. If it wasn't for her, we would have known about this. R. Kelly, the one thing, if you read the R. Kelly, Survivor R. Kelly, the one thing about him, his brother said he was just having the tapes there. He never made those tapes for profit. But what Lisa Allen did, she gave those tapes, and she ended up causing a whole commotion. And Lisa Allen, for the first trial, she got immunity. Now, the reason why R. Kelly didn't get convicted on a lot of those counts was because people like Lisa Van Allen, Joe, I can't pronounce the man's name, the journalist, for, I believe, the Chicago Sun-Times, Joe Gaddis, I can't pronounce his name. They didn't show up. No, Lisa showed up for the first one. She didn't show up for the second one. Okay? The way this whole thing went down, to me, it wasn't like, oh, we want to stop R. Kelly. It's like, we just want him to go to jail on some, setup charges. That's why I say I really don't like the whole outcome of this. And for this one, I don't think he should have really been tried, except for when it came to the acts alone. The acts alone, let me be clear, the acts alone, absolutely, he needs to go to jail for that, because he's dirty. He's dirty. He's a predator. He has a thing for children, but he's also sick and demented because of what happened to him as a kid. However, if you lied and said in 2002 that you not in the video. And if in 2008 you didn't show up for trial and all those different things, then how I feel about it is, don't come back 14 years later and say, oh, it was me and I'm a victim, when you had a relationship. I'm talking about Rashana Landfair. You had a relationship with this man literally up until you was like 25 years old, and you lived on his property. This is what I'm saying. When you had the time and place to be a victim, when you were 17 and 18, even 20 and 21, you could have said something, but you was living on this man's property and you didn't tell the truth. And then Kitty Jones said, I saw her because my homegirl said, have you ever watched the tape? And so I said, I'm going to watch the tape. And when I saw the tape, it made me sick. But I said, wait a minute, that's the girl I saw a week ago with R. Kelly hugging up with him. And I believe Kitty Jones, every word she said. I believe her. And she said, and the one thing about Kitty Kelly, she wasn't into all that weirdo stuff. She was his actual girlfriend. And she said, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it at all. And she started crying. And there were people that was crying for this girl. But yet and still, you still was going out with him, hanging out with him. This is why I say that Jennifer Bongine, that appeal is going to be successful. And it's going to be sad because R. Kelly should have went to jail a whole long time ago. But see, when you have people that's in it for the money and you're not really in it to really, 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 get justice, you basically like, listen, I'm here for the bag. You're not even there because you care about the person. Like, I'm here for the bag. And you get the bag, and now that the bag is gone, that's why they was basically tried. And also, too, they got immunity for this. This is a retry of the 2008 case. And with that being said, I'm signing off. Thank you for listening and tuning in. Have a great night. I'll be back later.